My name is Oana. I come from Bucharest, from Romania. Currently working for the Ministry of Finance of the government of Romania, for one of the Secretary of States that works in the Ministry of Finance. Um, I cover a lot of things that I have expertise on, which are the international arbitrages for Romania, or in which Romania is involved. I covered as well the public acquisitions that the government makes, and a lot of other administrative things that we actually work on here. Um, I have met Eric a few years ago. I was trying to remember these days that the first time we met was in 2015. It's this year. It's 10 years since we've met each other in Brasov, in Pana Brasov, at the Aspire camp, and it was an absolutely inspiring and fascinating student camp, and I can never forget it. Since then, I've been traveling a lot. I've been studying in UCL in London, economics, history, and politics. I then worked for a couple of years in finance in London. Then I moved to Romania, and here I am. Voila. My grandma always has this saying, which is a very traditional saying for Romania: "Be as strong as a rock, because you have to know you can do it." So it always like sticks to me somewhere in the background of my mind all the time. Um, Knowing what you want has actually always kind of been a sort of a second nature for me, because I've always been in situations where, it wasn't kind of an option to not know what you want. Moving away from the country at 18, I left to India as well. I had to kind of figure it out all the time for myself. Um, what I always wanted to have was clarity of mind and clarity of emotions. There are two things that I have always kind of aspired to have and concentrated upon, for as long as I kind of developed this maturity. Let's put it like. And then comes, a sort of a set of goals, of desires, of values that have an interplay with this idea of knowing what you want all the time. Um, it's always important to know what truly matters for you, what truly matters for your heart. So, for example, one of the things that always inspires me and always brings me back, let's say, to square one, let's put it like that, like to bring clarity of all times, is going up in the mountains. It's my way of reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with myself, reconnecting with God, reconnecting with the people that I travel with. And every time I come back from the mountains, things become all of a sudden easier. Problems are no longer problems. And yeah, I regularly go up in the mountains. I try to do as much as I can when I'm around in Romania, because we have lots of mountains. And, I always kind of have this time when I go up to reflect on my values, to reflect on what I want to do next, to identify what was important for me, really important for me, or what will become important for me in the next period of time, let's say. And yeah, noticing what inspires you is a big part of this, a very big part of this. That was a time when, if I wouldn't have done it back then, at 18, when all your dreams are at the fullest, when you want to rock the world, when you want to go full force into life, living the life to the fullest, having milestones for you. Like, I remember back at 18, I had like a roadmap for my future years, let's say. Like, by 25, I want to do this, I want to be that, I want to create this, I want to create that. By 30, the same. By, I don't know, 35, 40, things like that. In India, I learned exactly the opposite of doing that. In India, I learned that the moment you live in, it's the eternity that you wish for. And it's a um, it's a way of living the life that actually guarantees you that you're gonna live to the fullest. I had the chance to explore a lot of communities that are extremely remote, extremely far away from the modernity, from technology. Even they're super off-grid communities. I know that over the years, over the past 10, 12 years since I've been there, there's been quite a lot of improvements in terms of this. However, I don't believe that they have changed who they are inside and their spirituality. So, yeah, India was an absolutely necessary moment for my growth and for the way that I've seen other people living on the same earth that we're sharing, the way they're eating, the way their community looks like, the way their passions are, you know, modeling their life, and most importantly, the relationship that they have with God. And the community that I was with was partly Orthodox, actually, in the East India, very East India. And their practices, they tended to be very similar to ours as well. However, the kindness that I felt from those people was uncomparable. And I think at 18, you have the receptors that are the most alive, let's put it like that, and that let you absorb a lot of these great things into your mind, your soul, and they stick with you forever. Yeah. Three moments I remember in India that have marked my stay there. The first one was when I took the train from New Delhi to Kolkata, and we stopped in Varanasi, which is the holy city for the Indians. The moment I jumped on that train, uh, and I saw over the train. So I went inside, but over the train, above the train, there were way more people than there were inside the train. Um, just gave me this feeling like I knew that, I'm gonna see that. It gave me this feeling like, and they were happy people. They were like, having fun. They were running after the train. They were, that's their life. That's how they live their life every day. Commuting or, just traveling around India. Um, it gave me this feeling like, okay, you never see that in Europe. There's nowhere in Europe you can see that. Um, however, had this sense of everybody was part of the same struggle, you know, and when you know you're not alone in such a struggle and you're like part of a bigger community, it just, the problems don't seem that big as if they would have been, as if you were alone going through this. Because I'm telling you something, Eric, I'm not sure if it's only from the pandemic, but there's such a huge sense of loneliness around Europe, and probably not just around Europe, around, let's say, the developed world, that this pandemic created, because it cut the bonds, it cut the social bonds between us. And if for some time, for some of us, this meant maybe more time to reflect on our values, on our time, on identifying maybe wrong patterns that we had before and we want to change, time for what inspired us, and so on. For other people, and there are not just a few, it was a time of extreme loneliness. And in a country like India, for example, I never felt this sense of loneliness. So that's one thing, one moment that I kind of have been inspired about. A second one was when I arrived in Varanasi, in the holy city, where you literally see dead bodies floating on the Ganga River. And I remember we were on a top of a hill, and the image was wow. It was like something like I could never forget. Seeing like um, different moments when people are like letting the bodies of the loved ones go on the river and go with the river. It was like a moment when I saw the spirituality happening in real life. A third one was when I used to live in the off-grid communities outside of Kolkata, many, many hundreds of kilometers outside, in the mangrove forests where the tiger, the man-eater, lives. And yeah, it was a very delicate moment because we lived with a sword above our heads. The tiger attacked every every few days, at least once per week. It went through the roof of the houses. Even if we stayed in the mayor's house, of the local mayor's house, let's put it like that, which was more of a lodge inside the forest, there was no security at all. And those people lived with that every single day. And they had no food security as well. They had no clean water as well. They were off grid communities, no electricity. And we are sharing the same planet with these people. And that has made, at least for the mind, for my mind of 18 years old, that has made a huge impact for how grateful I came when I came back to Europe. I said to God every second since then, I thank you, God, for everything you offer me. I thank you, God, for everything, you decided for my life. And I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for the parents you gave me. I'm so grateful for the city um, that I was born in, for the opportunities that Europe gave me, for the chance to finish a university in London, which is one of the most renowned universities in the world, actually. For the access that I had to a lot of amazing people with great, um, you know, backgrounds and so on. So definitely, these three moments that I described you were have been, let's say it like that, have been inspiring me so far from the trip that I had in India. Jobs don't define and describe a person. That's absolutely, I mean, let's start there. Of course, they're a very important part, and to me has always been the case of loving what I want. And sorry, loving what I work for, and loving what I do, essentially. But that could not have been reached without experimenting, without exploring. Um, that this game of exploring things in life, I think, is the most important. How would you know what you want if you don't explore things that you're attracted about? If you don't give yourself the permission to fail sometimes, because it's part of the learning and growth process. Um, how would you know what you want if you don't discover what you resonate with? The kind of people that you like, the kind of people that you want to have around or that inspire you. Um, a second thing would be, it sounds maybe childish, or for some people that don't really have the time, sounds like, an ideal thing to do, but journaling regularly is a part of what I do to set my mind always on a straight path, easier and faster to bring me where I want to go, Um, exploring, let's say, questions of what excites you, or what drains you, or what do you want to do for real with your own life? you know? And I remember one phrase that I read that Buddha said, and that sticks with me as a value for life. And that was move, 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 always be on a move, because the universe is always moving. And if you stay, you keep stuck the energy of the universe. There is a time to rest, there is a time to reflect, but don't give it too much time. Act while you are aligned with what you want. So first of all, like a preliminary thing to do before getting to a stuck situation is actually a thing that avoids you to get in a stuck situation, and that is to define your non-negotiables. To have a sort of a list in your mind for the things you never want to compromise for, like specific values or choices of lifestyle or goals or principles of life or, you know, ethical things and so on. So the moment you define what you cannot negotiate on, is the moment when you wake up and say, hey, where did I make a compromise so that I arrive in a stuck situation? So for example, and I would link that to the trip that I had in India. Before going to India, I remember I saw that that kind of wall or wallpaper in Prague. It was. It's a famous one around the world, which says, "Before I die, I want to," and you complete on the blank space, right? So I remember I didn't say, before I die, I want to travel to Mars, or before I die, crazy things. I said that before I die, I would want to spread kindness all over the world as much as I can. And that's a thing I would never negotiate on. Like, whenever I feel lack of kindness in a situation or in some people or in some, I don't know, situations, I take a step back, I let things distillate. If they would turn out to be, uh, good things or like good intentions in that situations, I move on with it. If not, that's the moment when you would enter in a stuck situation, because you would compromise on a principle that you never wanted to compromise on. So, but I know that nowadays this sounds like pure philosophy, but the more you can do it, I know it's a luxury as well to be able to not compromise. For some people, not for everybody, but being able to arrive to a point in life where you don't compromise anything anymore, I think it's the moment when you can say for real that you really know what you want in life. So I'd say set small goals. You know, maybe we all want to be astronauts, but we have to start somewhere, right? So starting with simple, achievable objectives, to see what excites you the most, to see how exciting it is to accomplish them, um, to learn about your preferences, about what you want, about how it feels to get that. A second thing that I would recommend is to practice mindfulness, which is essentially it's all about the question of how do I feel? How do I feel about this situation? How do I feel about that situation? And the more you do it, the more natural it feels to do it again and again and again and again until it becomes second nature for you. So being in nature and connecting to your inner self are two ways that are, at least for me, from a personal perspectives, are probably the most important things that I'm doing over and over and over again. I have friends that keep asking me, you're going every weekend to the mountains. You're going every weekend in nature. You're going, yeah, dude, I'm going there because I feel like I'm connecting with myself. I'm connecting with God. I'm connecting with the things that I love. I'm touching literally the trees when I'm walking. I'm saluting God's creations. So it's and look, I notice what I feel. Every time I go there, I notice how I feel. And that comes to a third point that I would like to say, that whenever you're going in nature and you're listening to yourself and you're listening to the stillness of nature, means to tune out all the external noise. So, a third thing that I would recommend is to sort of limit social media, limit societal comparisons, um, limit the judgments of others, even if that comes down to maybe close people to you, parents, brothers, sisters, and so on, or close friends. The moment the judgment or critical thing is happening, you can either stay there and say, okay, thank you for your thought, and move on. Or if it becomes more aggressive, you can just be like, okay, I have to go. Talk to you later. So these are ways that um, let aside the fact that all my notifications are turned off for any social media. And I did that for many, many years already. I kept doing that for many years, um, because, that don't really play an absolute part of my life to always be connected via social media. Okay, I'm sharing things via social media. I'm not doing that extremely frequently, but whenever I do that, it's part of an excitement that I have and that I would want to share with other people that maybe may feel inspired if they follow me. Um, I never worked with a coach or a therapist. I tried to do it a couple of times, but I realized that I can guide myself to the important questions that I have for my life, in a way that it's more natural, or it feels more natural to me than other people, even if it comes down to, extremely well prepared therapists. But it's just my personal story. To arrive to the point where I arrived, it's a long journey. And for people that are not really willing to do it, it's always better to go to a therapist, to go to a coach, to speak to a priest, to speak to people that inspired them, and try to get more in touch and connect with themselves more. So the recommendation to go and see and work with a therapist, a sort of a professional guide, uh, can help people to go through structured exercise. However, for my personal experience, I did not feel the need to check in to a therapist. I have other recommendations if we have the time, like visualizing your ideal future. Imagine where you want to be tomorrow, where you want to be in a week, where you want to be in 1 year, in 5 years, and so on. Sometimes it's more useful and practical to do it on a short term. And I remember one phrase that Elon Musk kept saying, like, try to do a thing that you planned for the next 10 years, try to do it in 6 months. And that's a challenge for me as well. And it's, it makes me feel more ambitious than ever, this phrase. So doing it, but doing it consciously and doing it day by day, to visualize your future and to work on it, on this visual thing that you have in your mind, even if it's a visual board, even if it's like a journal, even if it's it's usually better to write it or to see it or to actually print pictures of the places you want to see, or to, to just make a plan on a journal somewhere that when you'll be somewhere, you'll do this and this. It happened to me so many times. Things that I wished for maybe 2 3 years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to actually see them happening and to be even better than what I imagined. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, reassess regularly is very important. Understanding that your desire might evolve and you can make it better, like not to stay fixed on a certain mindset, you know, is a very important part of it as well. Like checking in with yourself periodically because you evolve. Late in the evenings, because in the mornings I usually do 5 minutes, like the sun rises just right at my window. So I wake up right, like naturally, I wake up when the sun rises. I open the window and I stay for exactly 5 minutes when the sun is up and there are no clouds. But even if the sun is not up, I know that the sun is behind the clouds. So I'm still saluting the sun, saying, hello, sun, hello, God, hello, universe, I'm here. Hello. And I'm saying it to be grateful for the day that I woke up, that I opened my eyes, that my lungs keep breathing, that the cells of my body are regenerating the moment I see the sun. And that's the energy that I take every morning. And then I do a bit of yoga and stretching for my body. And then I continue with the day. And then at night, when even if it's super late and I'm super sleepy and I'm like, just super tired, very rarely I don't write a couple of lines in my journal. And I never threw away any journal. Self-discovery is ongoing. It's not a process that you do, I do it today, I do it tomorrow, I do it the next day, and then for 1 month you disappear. And then something happens, you get stuck, and then you go back to awareness, to self-reflection, to if you're really disciplined, and that's something that comes out with curiosity in life, with patience that you have with yourself. Self-discovery gets you closer even to the reality. Like, okay, I had these situations today. If I reflect on them and write down 1 or 2 lines, how did I feel during those moments? What could I have done better? And next time I'm gonna do it to make sure the situation will be better. It's just maybe you forget about it. There's so many things you forget about, right? You cannot remember everything you live every day. But the more you write them and the more you consciously assimilate them, the less emotional burden you will carry with time. And you can fly easier, higher, in much more creativity, in in much more freedom, because the less you self-reflect and self-discover yourself, you accumulate garbage that you just wanted away. And at one point, you might carry it all your life and be okay with it. And it might put a lot of pressure on your wings to fly. Or you can do this conscious thing every day and your wings are flying higher and higher and higher, and things and life becomes easier by itself. Focus on breathing, just calm down, just feel the life in you, feel the life in you. And at that point, when you start feeling the life in you and the power you have and the element of God that it's in you, which makes you breathe, which makes you live, it's a very powerful moment. But to get there, indeed, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of discipline, and a lot of hard work, because calming down your mind, probably it's the toughest thing for a person that doesn't know to do that. It's to do. So, practical tips, again, I come back to nature. It's easy for people to just go out in a park. If you don't want to go out in the mountains, or if you don't want to go out and see the seaside, and see the sea and listen to the waves and connect with it and be a part of it and be one with the sea or be one with the mountains, just go in a park and just calm yourself down. Breathe the better air that it's in a park. Take a walk. Just connect at that level with the nature, and do it as often as you can, at regular moments of the day when you can. And that's a good start. It's even easier than journaling, because journaling takes a lot of honesty, you know? And I would even say honor as well, because being able to write down your thoughts just as they are, just as real and raw as they are, takes a lot of power, let's say. But you can get there if you start simple, by connecting with the nature. I strongly believe in nature. I strongly believe in the power it has. And I look a lot in the animals area, let's say, like the wolves. The wolves are inspiring me so much. How strong bonds they developed, how they lead, as the alpha wolf, or the alpha male wolf, or the alpha female wolf. um it's a very inspiring example, the example of the wolves. But yeah, coming down to the real life, let's say, go out in nature as much as you can, and it will things all of a sudden, I promise you, things all of a sudden get clear and clarified.